Good evening, boxing fans, and welcome back after a long delay. Welcome back to another episode of Enter the Ring Live with your host, Mighty Mike.
AJ Rage.
And Eric the Red. Wait.
Don't scratch your head.
Eric the
Don't
Red.
scratch your head again, dude.
I love it. What's going on, guys? It is Tuesday, April the 13th, 2021. It's been a couple weeks since we've been here, guys. I know we got busy with some traveling and personal stuff, and we're back, and boxing's heating up, man.
Yeah, like the title said, man, boxing's back. I mean, we're starting to see the crowds. They're starting to filter in little bit by little bit, but
yeah,
it's starting to feel like boxing again.
Yeah. Hey, first and foremost, how's everybody doing? I know that Eric, I know you been busy with the business. AJ, I know you're busy doing some recording. What's going on? Eric, you first.
All right, first, real quick, belated birthday to our mom.
Yesterday. Yeah, Mom. Happy birthday, Mom.
Years. Happy birthday, Mom.
I can't believe Mom's 70, man. Mom doesn't look 70.
She doesn't look 70. I mean, yeah. And she made me and the family such a good meal. You guys would have loved it. It was amazing.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
I'm jealous.
Happy birthday, Mom. Love you.
Anyway, just trying to stay busy. I gotta hire some more people here in hopefully the next week or two.
Oh, really? More performers and stuff?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's a good thing, though.
I just hired 2 young men, and we're training them right now. But then I seriously need at least 4 more.
Really?
Yeah. So because we need coverage on different days.
And
different types of actors as well. So it's fine that I got these 2 young men. I got one guy's a pretty good sized guy, one guy's a really small guy. But I need kind of the mix
in between.
I need everything because we have 5 different characters in our rooms. 6 different characters.
Oh yeah,
that's nice.
Yeah, we need to find the people. So
yeah, Mom said you had a good day the other day. Would you have quite a few bookings over the weekend or what?
Saturday was a good day, and the last 2 Saturdays have actually been pretty busy. So
excuse me.
I mean, when I say pretty busy, it's still COVID busy is busy.
Still not like it was before.
Oh God, no. I mean, I was doing 25 to 27, 28
bookings a weekend.
In a weekend.
Yeah, it was busy, bro.
Sunday back then, and now, I mean, I call it busy. 7. 7.
It'll pick up again, though.
It's a huge difference. Over, hopefully everybody gets their head out of their, ass and understanding that hey,
starts living again, man.
Yeah, start living again. There's nothing to be scared about. Just get out there and have some brewskis with your friends and come to. I'm serious. Yeah, have a good time.
So, all right, AJ, what's been going on with you?
Like you said, I've been recording a lot, with a couple different things, and just trying to stay busy. So right now, doing my law staff, my classes and stuff, and hopefully making this move really soon. So just been busy, with the family. My daughter's got a graduation coming up, and so it's just been one thing after another and stuff. But
did they tell you guys if you're going to have a ceremony or a drive-through ceremony?
I hope so, for the amount of money we've spent. I'll tell you that. I mean, I'm proud of
you guys are a private school. Bishop Almont's a private school, right?
Private school, yes.
To be freaking open. This whole damn thing is just wrong.
I know.
But, I heard you had a new addition to your family too.
Yeah. We got a little bully red-nosed pit that we adopted. Her name's Montana. We call her Tony Montana.
I saw her last week when I stopped by. She's pretty cool.
She
looks real calm.
But she still, she don't take no crap. But I mean, how many dogs can actually impose their presence over Gator? I mean, we're talking, he's a beast, bro. I mean, a dog's big when other dogs look at him and look at another dog and go, God, fuck, that dog's big,
Yeah.
Well, Bo did okay.
Bo did great. Yeah, but Bo's a badass. He's a different story. He's a boxer. But so I mean, other than that, I don't know, Michael. We'll probably be rehearsing tomorrow. I'm not sure, right?
I hope so, man. God damn it.
Yeah, so I'm excited about that. But just staying busy. But I'm excited. Boxing's back. There were some good fights over the weekend. We were gone for a while. I was up visiting my brother Eric, and we needed a little bit of a break, and now we're back, and there will be no more hesitation. So why don't you go and take us into it, Mike?
Well, I think what we first wanted to talk about was a fight that happened a couple of weeks ago. No, it wasn't the unification. It was just Carl Frampton making his attempt at a third weight division, a world title in the third weight division, which he would have been Ireland's first and only ever 3-weight world champion. Fell short, came up short, was stopped in 6 rounds. 6 rounds?
Yes.
6 rounds by Jamel Herring. I got to be honest, man. I picked Frampton to win that fight, but as soon as that fight started, he just had trouble getting inside close enough to really do damage, and he really kind of abandoned his jab, which has always been such a good punch for him. But I think it was because Jamel Herring was pretty sharp on this night. And AJ, you said something to me. You said he looked bad in that last fight, which he did. But not saying that he would purposely look bad, but it's like a horse. He had a bad performance, and then this was a great performance by Jamel Herring.
Well, go ahead, Eric. I'm sorry, bro.
Well, I'm sorry. Frampton is retiring now.
Yeah.
You know that, right?
Yeah, he's somewhat retired right there in the ring.
No,
I mean, I'm sure he'll do
He announced his retirement. He's
yeah.
done.
He'll do something more formal, maybe like a press conference or something. I'm sure in Ireland, which he should, because he's a big deal. He's from Northern Ireland, Belfast, and he's
if you
the national hero there.
If you actually go to our Facebook page at Into the Ring Live, you can actually see Carl Frampton when he discusses after the fight. There's a video on there that shows him talking about his retirement, and you can see the emotion, because Carl, to me, he's given so much to the sport. To me, he's kind of been a little underappreciated for what he's brought to boxing and stuff, and at the level that he's competed at his entire career. Not too many people are real gung-ho about jumping in the ring with Jamel Herring. The size difference, like you said, Mike, I'll reiterate it. It was a huge disparity between the two right off the back.
It was just too much of an undertaking, I think, for him.
Yeah.
But you gotta give it to Carl. He's always that guy that takes that risk, So
yeah, nobody could say nothing about his heart. I mean, he fought everybody. He fought a prime Leo Santa Cruz in the division that Leo was most dominant in, and won that fight. And I mean, that probably was I think probably one of his best wins. And then also the win over Nonito Donaire, which was another big win. I mean,
and at the time, Donaire was considered literally almost pound for pound.
Yeah.
One of the top guys.
But I think going up to that third division was just a little bit too much. He just, that 5'5" frame, he just, and Carl's always had a good chin, but it just seemed like anytime Herring landed flush, it kind of bothered him. I will say this about, I'm happy to see him retire and spend that time. Like he said, he spent so much time away from his family, and recognize that that's what's important right now in life. But there's a part of me that still clamors for that trilogy with Leo, because I think Leo owes it to him. Leo made the call and they said, "Hey, Carl, you know what? Do one more, and we promise we'll fight on either on a neutral arena, or we'll come to Ireland." But I don't think Leo Santa Cruz, and at this point, there's maybe no money in it. Maybe if Frampton would have won that fight, that would have been a good fight for Leo to come back for his comeback fight. A guy that he beat previously. But that's still a very sore subject for me. And I respect Leo Santa Cruz, but I don't respect that maneuver when he gave the man his word and then just wouldn't even come to the table to negotiate that third fight. Both first two fights were freaking awesome, dude. Both of them toe to toe for 12 rounds.
Oh, absolutely.
Like another fight we saw earlier.
Well, we went to the first fight. We went over there at the StubHub.
I was at the second one in Vegas at the MGM Grand. That was crazy. I mean, but they were great fights. It's a shame we didn't get to see the third one.
Yeah, it is. But like I said, I mean, Jamel Herring, once again, a class act like Carl Frampton,
very much. He
even said it in an interview. He said it's really hard when you get in there with somebody that you looked up to as you were coming up through your career. And
he said he was one of his favorite fighters. So
yeah, it's hard to beat somebody like that, but it's business as usual, So good things straight ahead for Carl. Because I mean, people are going to say that too. They're going to say, "Well, Jamel fought a smaller guy." Yeah, but he fought a smaller guy who's really talented.
Yeah,
probably more talented than a lot of people in that division. So I mean, I still see good things out there for Jamel Herring in some possible matchups later on.
Yeah. Great fight. So a well-deserved retirement, and retiring with all his faculties, no major injuries, nothing. Healthy, somewhat healthy. So good for him, man.
Yeah. I'll tell you the fight that obviously one of the big ones we want to talk about is the Jerron Ennis fight, but there was a fight, and I'm gonna let Eric talk about this a little bit. But there was a barn burner that was shown, and it was for the title, and it was champion Jerwin Akanas against challenger Jonathan Javier Rodriguez. Wow. You're talking about possible fight of the year. I want to see it again. I want to see it a third time. Talk about it, Eric.
Wow is the word. WOW. Wow. An amazing fight. I mean, the judges obviously had it completely screwed up. I mean, it was so much closer than the actual scorecard, what the judges came out with. I mean, 117, 110, 116, 111. Give me a break. That was like a 1 point. That was like, I mean,
the knockdown could have been the difference.
Yeah, absolutely. The knockdown could have been the difference. I mean, literally. But that fight was just balls to the wall, just amazing. That's the one I really enjoyed over our break. Yeah, I just enjoyed it. It was a great fight. You saw a hard-nosed Filipino fighter and a hard-nosed Mexican fighter just going at it and going. That's what a fight should be. Hats off to the promoters who put this fight together, quite honestly.
Yeah. All the fights on that card, all the three fights were pretty good.
Yeah. But hats off to the matchmakers of this one, because you know what? That was well constructed, well done. And a fight like that makes people go, oh, shoot, I got to watch more boxing. You know what I mean?
No, you're absolutely right. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? I don't know what the ratings were for that entire card with Boots Ennis as the headliner, but all three of those cards that were televised on Showtime were all great fights. Yeah. I'm sorry, all three of those fights on that card were great. The co-main, Amantes Stanionis versus Tomas Delorme was another toe-to-toe. I mean, I got to be honest, I'm big on Stanionis, but he was losing that fight midway through the fight.
Yeah,
he was losing that fight after 6 rounds. I had it 4-2 for Delorme, and 2 of those rounds he might have edged him very, very. I mean, this is Stanionis. He might have barely edged those fights or those rounds, but he came on the second half of the fight, and I think it was just his youthfulness and it's just his pressure that just kind of broke Delorme down a little bit. But that was another great fight. Went all 12. That was his first time going 12 rounds because it was, I guess, an eliminator, some type of a title eliminator.
I too. I mean, I enjoyed watching Stanionis in his fight, but my opinion on Delorme's a guy who just never really lived up to his potential, and he's really kind of on the short side of the ladder in his career right now and stuff. And the thing is that I think Stanionis is a decent fighter, but when you see fighters like Pooh Ennis and what they're doing, I just don't see it. He's still got a lot of things that he's got to repair, that he's got to work on before he even thinks about fighting a guy at that level and stuff. Because I mean,
but he said it though. He said it after the fight. He said he wants another maybe 3 fights. Yeah. He says maybe sometime in 2022, maybe I fight. So he's a kid that's very humble. He's the antithesis of like a Teofimo or the heavyweight you told me about earlier. Guys that are just out there saying I'm the man and all this stuff. He very much knows he needs more development. He says,
I know. But one of the
12 rounds.
One of the things that they were talking about is they talk so much about his power. I didn't really see it. I mean, he's got decent pop, but he's not what I would consider a huge heavy hitter and stuff. I do like the fact that he's got a high ring IQ. I just think, a few little tweaks here and there and stuff, he can be competitive. He's not the fastest fighter, but he's very accurate. So, I mean, he's
accurate. You're right. Yeah. And AJ, I think you said during that fight, we were talking, you want to see him use that jab more because he's got
he's got a great jab,
stiff jab. It's almost, it's not a rangefinder. It's an actual nice, hard, stiff jab.
Like we said before, when you're a fighter that doesn't have, when you're the slower fighter, the one weapon you have that can help be that eliminator of that speed is your jab. You can keep that person, on their back foot. And if Stanionis works that more, he would create opportunities rather than trying to find them and wasting punches.
Yeah. How do you guys feel about it? And Eric, you might not know much about this, but AJ, how do you feel about his trainer? I know he started off with Freddie Roach and then he transferred over to Marvin Samulia. And I know Marvin Samulia has paid his dues the last several years working with Freddie, but is he the right guy for this guy? I mean,
I don't know.
Could another trainer bring out more in him?
Well, the only issue I have with Martin is I think Martin's good. I think that he's still kind of like at a tutelage phase behind Freddie Roach in the sense where I see a lot of the same things that Freddie has worked with fighters. Martin he
Marvin,
basically he implements in his fights. So he has to kind of start finding the right tools, because let's just be honest. The stuff that worked on Manny Pacquiao is not going to work on Quiñones. It's not going to be that way. Unfortunately, like the Reynosos take every fighter that come into their gym and they take the template from Canelo Alvarez and they try to do it, which they're doing with Andy Ruiz. We'll talk about that later. It's not going to work. I do believe that he needs a guy who's just a little bit more savvy, maybe a little bit more aggressive, because the one thing I noticed is Quiñones, he reminds me of that kid that kind of gets that deer in the headlights, and he needs that guy to kind of snap him out of it. All right, hey, look at this is what you need to do. That's why he gave up those early rounds. Now against a more experienced fighter who's not going to fall apart like Delorme did. That's going to be a long road. That's going to be a long ways to catch up. If you get, it's like being in a NASCAR race and you get lapped a couple times because you're getting a little lackadaisical. You don't want to. He can't start playing catch up in his career at this point. All right, that happens later on when you go against higher competition. So. Obviously,
you're right. You're right. He should not be giving away these early rounds, right?
No, even against a guy who's got talent like Delorme. But let's be honest, you know what I'm saying? If he would have went in there and did the things that he had done in the fight against, I can't think of the guy's name right now, but it would have been a better night for him. So, I mean, obviously, ultimately, it was a successful night for him. But I think a trainer, maybe even, I mean, you say what you want to say, but a guy who's used to working with Russian fighters, maybe an Abel Sanchez.
I was just thinking the same thing.
A guy like that.
An Abel Sanchez would be great because Abel Sanchez was able to, get so much out of Gennady.
And he made Gennady jab. He always had Gennady jab, even though Gennady in his last couple of fights hasn't done it as much since the departure of Abel Sanchez. And I think that's why Gennady, hopefully he'll get back to doing what he's done, but he's proven that he's got the ability to do that. But a lot of it had to do with Abel Sanchez pushing him in the Kell Brook fight when he was losing. He told Gennady, stop going for the big punch, go back to basics, get the jab out there. And that's when the fight turned. Yeah,
you're right, dude. I was actually thinking Abel Sanchez right when you said it. I had heard, I'm not going to say who I heard him from, but I had heard rumors and rumblings that Abel's pretty close to calling it a career. He's made a lot of money in training, and he's a general contractor as well. I know he builds a lot up in Big Bear. He builds like houses and cabins and maybe even multi-units up there. So he's a guy that, Abel not hurting for money.
No.
But if a fighter like Quiñones were to reach out to him, that might, hey, let me stick with this a couple more years, because I think the kid can be a champion. But like you said, it's going to have to really take an experienced trainer. And Martin's
Abel's lost some fighters. Obviously, losing Gennady, he lost a couple other ones. One of his undefeated prospect guys got beat. So he suffered some setbacks. So yeah, I mean, at that point, I think Abel's just, you get tired. You know what I'm saying? Some people, like we talked about Robert Alcazar. He stepped away from boxing for a while. Because you just kind of get tired of it.
Yeah.
So if Quiñones is actually watching, or maybe we can get this out to him, listen to these two. I'm
not even saying that. I'm not saying that Martin's not the right guy. Martin could be the right guy for him, but I still think it's a building relationship between Martin and Quiñones, because let's be honest, how many fights now is this for Quiñones under Martin's tutelage? It's not that many. I think it's like 3 or 4 now.
Yeah, I think, if even that, maybe 3 or 4.
They're still building their relationship. So believe me, give them some time. But the problem is, hopefully Martin's seeing this, that we can't start playing catch up this early in his career. Even against a guy who's slick and got some decent skills in Delorme, you can't do that, because eventually he's going to run into guys who are fast and can hit hard.
Okay, so scratch that. Quiñones, listen to my brothers. And the trainers who are listening, the trainer who is listening, please listen to my brothers and actually start working with this kid a little bit better. So sorry.
Well, the problem is could be too, Mike, and I don't want to stay on this topic for too long, but Martin has kind of built a bit of a stable himself recently. And I wonder if maybe I call it the Bob Baffert effect. You look at a horse trainer like Bob Baffert, he's got so many horses. You go, God, dude, how can he train all these horses? Well, he does it. He's got assistants who are working with this, and he just kind of oversees things. Hopefully he's not at that stage right now with Quiñones, because that would be a big mistake. I see a bright future with this kid if he's guided the right way, but he can't be overmatched. Does he have the boot? Is he at the level, and is he progressing like Jaron Ennis is? No. But then again, he doesn't have that natural skills I think that Jaron Ennis possesses, but they can be acquired with hard work.
Ennis was awesome, by the way. That was a good fight.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and jump in. Let's go ahead and jump into the main event on Showtime. The one everybody was excited for. Jaron Boots Ennis versus one loss Sergey Lipinets. And Boots ended up winning that fight. What, 6-round knockout, right? It was
6-round knockout. Yeah.
It was a knockout. I mean, Lipinets got hit, went down, and the referee Mercani Jr. immediately waved it off. I think I might have texted you guys or AJU during that fight. After about 2-3 rounds, I said it's only a matter of time. You saw Lipinets starting to eat some big shots, and the shots he was landing on Boots had zero effect on him.
Yep. Yeah.
And I said, oh no, this is. And I was talking to Robert yesterday at the gym about that fight, and Michael Navarro said something to me that I had just said to Robert. He said Lipinets is not a 147 pounder, and this is not taking nothing away from Boots Ennis at all, because he did what he had to do. But Lipinets is not a 147 pounder. Lipinets very easily could probably still make 140. Obviously, the 147 is where the money's at right now. That's where all the money in the PBC's at. But did he do himself a disservice? Because at this point now, that was a pretty devastating knockout. And where does he go from here?
Hard as nails. Yeah. I agree. Do you want me to take that?
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, I knew going into this fight, I didn't take it as a give me. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've been high on Boots Ennis for a while now and stuff.
Yeah.
I have a thing about Philly fighters. I think that Philadelphia just produces, maybe it's the Rocky effect. They just produce this very slick, hardworking fighter that has a different mentality. Look at guys like Tony Harrison, amongst others. These guys are just workman-like fighters. That's what I get out of Boots Ennis. Good kid afterwards. It's always good to see when they're doing an interview and they're very respectful and they're not, doing all this showboating and stuff. So he's got his head on straight, which is a good thing. He did catch a couple punches from Sergey, which I know he's going to go back and look at. That could have been him posturing a little bit, because he was at a very confident stage. But like Steniones, Boots can't start feeling himself too much at this point, because those kind of punches, I guess maybe a guy who's a little bit heavier puncher, maybe a guy like a Keith Thurman or somebody like that.
Yeah.
It'd be devastating. I'm not saying that Boots doesn't have a great grill, but why take that risk when you got the ability and the skills to elude those kind of punches and those risks?
Yeah.
The one thing that really impressed me about Boots Ennis is how he sits down on the punches. You could feel those punches. They were literally lifting Lipinets off the ground. I love how he's a rarity, a guy who really, honestly, and I say this even more than guys like Errol Spence and others, he really is a true fighter who throws and finishes with amazing combinations. You'll see him land one, he'll come back again with power, and all three are just calculated perfect. I mean, sky's the limit for this kid if he keeps his head on straight and he keeps going. But then again, like you said, Mike, who's going to fight him?
Yeah. So let me ask you then. Okay, so AJ, if you were his manager, who would you like to see him fight next?
Well, I mean, anybody outside of the top 10, being the fact that they had him rated at number 16 in the world, which to me was already a total insult.
Yeah,
but obviously
this seven in the WBO, and
now he is. Yeah,
but he's nowhere near. I mean, he's not even on the list at WBA or the WBC. They don't even have him on the list.
Well, that alone right there shows you how effed up the ratings are. Because that kid, as far as I'm concerned, deserved to be no lower than 10 or 11. He's that good. He's shown that much ability.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no,
I think the thing that with a guy like Jerron Ennis is maybe he's just not the flavor of the month. Maybe he's just not those things that these organizations are looking for. Maybe they're looking for more of a big mouth like the Charlo brothers.
That's what they want. They want the loud mouths.
That's not Boots Ennis. That's not the way. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I'm going to go ahead and ask then. Okay, so let's put Jerron Ennis versus say like a Mikey Garcia.
He knocks Mikey Garcia out. He destroys Mikey Garcia.
Mikey Garcia doesn't see the third round.
Ortiz.
I'll tell you right now.
He beats Mikey easier than Spence did, and not because Spence didn't have the ability to. I think Spence wanted to embarrass Mikey, and that's what he did. He embarrassed him.
Yeah.
Ortiz would be a risk just based on the fact Ortiz carries welterweight power, but I don't think Ortiz is slick enough, and I think Ortiz the amount of punches that he takes, I see Ortiz being as tough as nails. He could possibly last a 10 or get stopped late.
Okay, and
Ortiz gets hit way too much for Boots Ennis.
Okay,
Boots
so
Ennis
let's go
knock him out.
Let's go another notch up. But what about Porter?
Porter's gonna. You go ahead and take this one, Mike. I'll let you.
Porter will make it ugly, but he'll make it ugly, like he does, and he'll have his moments. But I think, to me, you've got one fighter who's kind of plateaued and is even descending a little bit, where you have one that's on the ascent. And that's Boots Ennis. I just think that would be the wrong fight for Porter at this moment. There's not enough money in that kind of a fight right now for Sean Porter. Sean Porter wants the champions of the division, the big monies. He wants the Terrence Crawford, the Manny Pacquiao's, the Errol Spence rematches. That he wants the money at this point.
Yeah.
There's way too much risk in a fight with Jaron Ennis for Sean Porter. And I think
agree.
most people would say that, would agree to that.
You called it perfect right there on that.
So Jaron Ennis, hold on, I'm going to call this out. Jaron.
Hold on, let me say one thing real quick. I think the thing is with Jaron Ennis right now, if he's given the opportunity with the way the welterweight division is by far kind of like the staple piece right now of boxing right now, being the fact that there's so many different variables with fighters. You know, you got possible matchups with guys like Errol Spence, Terrence Crawford, Sean Porter, you know, Ugas, who's a dark horse. This is a guy who a lot of people like Jaron Ennis are overlooking and sidestepping. You still got guys like Jesse Vargas, you got Danny Garcia in there, you got Aviation, who just knocked out, you know, the kid from the UK, Josh Kelly. So I mean, there's a lot of really good fighters there, but the problem that's going to happen with Jaron Ennis is that these divisions, there's just not enough marketing push where they're putting money in these organizations' pockets like they did for Cava Lucas and others to get him these shots. Let's be honest. Guys like Terrence Crawford are going to have that's like Mike said, there's not enough money for him. Errol Spence is already made some pretty negative comments about Jaron Ennis's performance, which tells me he's not real interested in fighting Ennis. I'm not saying that Errol Spence can't beat Jaron Ennis, but to kind of dispel somebody who's on the way up and showing, especially beating a guy like Lipinets, you know, we can't say that Errol Spence or Terrence Crawford or even Sean Porter would stop Sergey Lipinets in 6 rounds. So, I mean,
yeah,
you know,
that's true. I mean, that's true. The kid's got power. I mean,
he only got better. It's kind of like when he wanted to end that fight, he just ended it.
He like Crawford, he can go orthodox to southpaw back. He's rangy too. What is he? 5'10"? He's tall. He's very tall. Big for the division. He's tall. He's a guy that definitely size. He's a guy that definitely can move up to 154, possibly. You know what I mean? Maybe even later on down the line up to 160, because he carried that 147. He was all muscle, in no body fat on that guy whatsoever. That guy's put together, man. Very, like you said, respectful. The minute he knocked out Lipinets, instead of running around acting like an idiot, he immediately took to a knee to make sure that his opponent was okay. And even in victory, you know, there's no need to gloat into, you know, and to be braggadocious. I mean, he did what it's business. He's there to do what he had to do. And AJ, like you said, that's probably the reason why he's not quite getting that big push yet, because he's not controversial enough at this moment. He doesn't, I'm not saying he's had a charmed life, but he isn't your typical inner city kid, comes from rough upbringings, you know. Oh, my daddy was in prison. Oh, my this and that. His dad's his trainer. He's obviously had a good upbringing. Obviously has good, strong family core unit there that's there to support him. And maybe that just doesn't sell.
No, you're absolutely right. I think one of the problems too that Jaron Ennis is going to face is, like you said, people sidestepping him and things like that. But one of the things I liked about what Jaron Ennis said when they asked him at the interview afterwards, you know, who do you want next? And he was like, anybody. He understands. See, Jaron Ennis he's not a dumb fighter. I think he's got a high ring IQ like most guys coming out of Philly. But he understands that at this point, he's going to take whatever he can get. It's not like a lot of these other fighters that have these opportunities, but sidestep or give side money so they can take the safer route. Jaron Ennis is looking to be great. He's urgent to be great. And then he knows the only way he's ever going to get there is by getting some of these guys that are on top of him. Now, is he going to get them? I don't know. I'll tell you right now what I would like to see in his next fight. I'd love to see him fight against the Meme Machine, Cava Lucas. That's a great gauging point to show. If he goes in there and destroys Cava Lucas, which I feel he will, that sends a message. It's going to probably make it even harder for him to get a fight. But at that point, the fans should get behind it. And I think even some of these promotional people get behind it and say, hey, you know what? I think we got a diamond here.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
That'd be good. That'd be a good fight.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about? I mean, I'm sure you guys ended up watching. I was kind of jockeying back and forth, but I did catch most of the Joe Smith versus Vlasov fight on ESPN. I got to say, man, very disappointing performance for me from Joe Smith.
Yeah.
One-dimensional.
I agree.
I do not agree with the decision.
Me either.
I do not, and I was rooting for Joe Smith,
Yeah.
but I just could not give him more than about 4 rounds clear cut. Couple were close.
I was talking about that earlier. Remember we talked about how I said how I just thought his skills were very mediocre. He had that, obviously everybody goes back to what he did to Bernard Hopkins and stuff, but that was a million years ago. Joe Smith, I tell you, he showed what he's really about in that loss to Sullivan Barrera, a guy who is basically like, Tandy Robot when he walks into the ring. I mean, there's not a whole lot of dimensions to Sullivan Barrera. Joe Smith, to me, honestly, I really, really, really felt for Maxim, because here's a guy that spent 16 years of his career just trying to get a shot. He finally gets a shot, and I felt won the fight, and then just gets the rug ripped right out. I guess a guy like Joe Smith, who honestly, he looked like he was ready to give up about midway through the fight.
He did.
It looked like it was over,
Well, look at, okay, we know the powers that be. They're trying, they like the working class, upstate New York, Joe Smith, working class guy, gonna take on this Russian monster and Beterbiev. And just based off of what I saw, not only does Joe Smith get knocked out by Beterbiev, he gets viciously knocked out by Beterbiev. Because when Beterbiev starts landing those punches, he will not stop.
He'll end his career, bro. But
he's going to end his career, and it's not going to end well for Joe Smith.
There's a bigger issue though right now. I'm gonna turn on. I'm starting to see a little bit of this. Okay, and even in some of the scores I've been seeing in some of these fights, obviously the world is very aware about the fact right now that we have a little bit of an issue with Russia. I hope this doesn't turn into what was happening in the 80s when we had the issue with Russia. You saw some really good Russian fighters, whether they be amateur or pro, losing disputed controversial decisions based on the fact that the American judges didn't like them for being Russian. And I hope that we don't start seeing something like that again, because I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to see more and more and more fighters not willing to get on the boat and come across the pond. Just like what's happening in the UK.
All right, I got an idea. Let's get Vladimir Putin and Joe Biden to box.
That's ridiculous.
Well, you know what?
Sorry, that's hilarious.
What was I going to say right now about that? Joe DeGuardia, who's the co-promoter for Joe Smith. I don't know if you guys saw this when he clearly threw that intentional rabbit punch and hit Vlasov behind the head twice, and Vlasov took a knee, and then the referee went, and they were just losing their shit, because at that point, that right there is when you knew that the promoters even knew that their guy was so far behind. This was like lightning striking. That they thought this should have been a knockdown, and then they were screaming and hooting and hollering that the referee put him in the wrong corner. He was supposed to go to neutral corner, and he was actually there talking to his in the corner of his trainers. But either way, that right there showed right there, that spoke volumes about Joe DeGuardia and the people on Joe Smith's team. They know it as they're sitting right now. They probably never even went back and watched the fight again because they don't want to be reaffirmed that their fight lost. But Joe Smith lost that fight.
He lost that fight.
He lost that fight, and he lost that fight at probably 8 rounds to 4, at best 7 rounds to 5.
Yep.
And like I said, AJ, it's just a shame because there's a guy that spent 16 years as a pro, finally gets a shot and just gets
there's a
bullshit decision.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, to me, honestly, everybody talks about this blue collar, Joe Smith, and how tough he is. I'm gonna show you right now. From the moment that his eye got injured, he looked like a guy who was just ready to call it a night. But honestly, that's about as enough as I want to think about. I want to talk about another guy, if you don't mind. I want to talk about another fight that happened that it was in the welterweight division, and a guy who really is feeling himself way too much. I'm talking about Conor Benn, and a guy who should honestly call it a night in Sammy Vargas. I'm gonna tell you, I was so. I mean, it was a quick stoppage. Even the announcers said it was a bit of a quick stoppage. But I'm going to tell you right now, for a guy who's got over 35 fights as a pro, shame on you, Samuel Vargas. How do you not know what to do at this point when you got a young lion jumping on you, take a knee, do something? To me, it shows me Sammy Vargas is conceded to being a loser, and he's going to do himself a better just. And whatever he's done as a professional or with health-wise, and call it a night. Anybody who allows this man to get back in the ring after that atrocity that I saw, that I waited all of this bullshit for, and I was so disappointed. And then to see this kid being disrespectful to not only other fighters out there, guys like Errol Spence amongst others, but then even his own promoter in Eddie Hearn. And I'm not a big Eddie Hearn guy, but the way he talked to Eddie Hearn, I would say, you got to remember who you are. Your dad was a good fighter. He wasn't a great fighter. Ask Eubanks. He'll tell you about it. But the problem is, the kid is just feeling himself. I got a great idea for you, Eddie Hearn. Let's see if Conor Benn is as good as he is. Let's give him tennis and watch what happens.
That's one round destruction. And then
exactly.
The thing that disgusted me more than anything was he starts calling out Amir Khan. Amir Khan, who's semi-retired, hasn't fought in nearly 2 years.
And he's not even a welterweight. Come on, man. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, if you're going to call somebody out, why don't you call it another young lion? Do what so many other fighters have done when you see these two fighters at a point in the career when they don't have to take this risk and they do that. Conor Benn's one of those guys that's not going to do it. You know what I'm saying?
No, Conor Benn, he's a pansy. He's a UK pansy who's being, like I said, he's being fed. They
living in his dad's.
They pulled him across the pond and, to basically just be an opponent, lay down. And that's exactly what he did. He laid down. And it was a shame. And he was coming off that big loss to, that brutal loss to Virgil Ortiz right in his last fight.
Nope.
Right.
Yep.
So,
that was the thing that happened is that after they talked to Conor Benn, right away, Conor Benn started gauging the people who had beaten Sammy Vargas, one of them being Virgil Ortiz. Also the fact that Amir Khan went 12 with them, the fact that Danny Garcia just stopped. I'm thinking to myself, listen, Conor, I am so tired of fighters thinking that because they get a fighter, they beat a fighter at this stage, that when another fighter fought him at this stage, believe me, the Sammy Vargas that lost to Danny Garcia is not the same Sammy Vargas that went over the continent to go and face Conor Benn. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So these guys have to realize it only takes a year, sometimes 6 months. Robert will tell you it doesn't take very long. Sometimes it takes one loss and a fighter goes from being here to here real quick.
Yeah.
And you saw it in Sammy. Legs were shot in the beginning, wasn't the same fighter. And I like Sammy Vargas, you know what I'm saying? I do. But I mean, it's just a guy who's just completely shot and he's just call it a night.
Yeah, I agree. He would do himself a service by just calling it a career.
Hey, he doesn't want to end up like Mike Alvarado, one of those guys that are still out there doing this. You think yourself, why are you still doing this?
Yeah, exactly. Manage your money, man. Manage your money properly and just,
Get the hell out.
buy some investment properties. Give me a call. I'll help you out.
Hey, so real quick, another fight that happened, Mike, that night was Effie Ajagba. Yeah, knocked
out of Brian Howard, right?
In a fight that Effie kind of looked it was kind of a weird fight in the beginning. I mean, there wasn't a whole, and all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, just
right hand,
boom, dude.
Yeah. Is that one that I saw that the guy just literally just collapsed?
Yes.
Yeah, he kind of turned and fell, and his arm was behind him, and he landed on his face. Yeah. Ajagba is getting a big push right now with Top Rank after being with the PBC for his first few years. He was with Ringstar Promotions. Now he's fighting under Top Rank's banner. I still think, I mean, the guy's obviously got power, but I still think he's very, very limited. That's just my opinion. I don't think he beats someone like a Joseph Parker, because Joseph Parker's crafty, and as boring as he is, he'll make it ugly and boring for 10, 12 rounds. And Ajagba will be trying in desperation to land one big punch that will probably never land. And I was high on him a few years ago, but his last couple fights, with the exception of this one punch knockout, the ones couple before that, he didn't look all that impressive. He really didn't. He got dropped hard in I think 2 fights ago against the Russian guy. I mean, you put F.A. Jogger in there against someone like a Joe Joyce. I think Joe Joyce just gives him a boxing lesson.
Well, there was actually a fighter who had beaten Brian Howard the fight right before him that I know they've talked about a possible matchup, and I think it's the wrong fight. I think he beats Ajagba only for the mere fact I think the guy's shown a little bit more, and that's Frank Sanchez, the Cuban Flash.
The Golden Boy fighter.
Yeah, he's a big puncher, man. I mean, this guy Howard, who fought Ajagba, was not a big puncher. He brought 4 knockouts and 15 victories. Ajagba's, don't get me wrong, he seems like a great guy, but he's a guy who's kind of got that Deontay Wilder syndrome right now. He's just relying on that one big punch, and you got to bring more tricks to the party, man. You have to develop your
game, man. You have to develop. There's no head movement. He's flat-footed. He's just
waiting. What it is. It's called boxing. It's not called punching. You know what I mean? One big punch is not going to do it for you.
Well, unfortunately, bro, let me tell you the mentality of a lot of these guys today. You ever gone to the bowling alley or gone to the fair and seen one of those games where the ball comes down and you punch the ball? Well, that's how most of their opponents, like Edgar Beranga, his opponents are like that. They're like one of those balls that you put down. Okay, I'm going to hit it now. That's it. But eventually that ball's going to move. And that's what Ajagba is going to run into. Berlanga is going to run into. That's why you don't see these guys the Tyrone Brunsons and all these guys. They eventually find their maker, and then everybody said, "Okay, well, there's the how to solve that puzzle." Real simple.
Just hit them back. Hit them back.
Yeah.
And don't be stationary.
Move
and
your
don't be
head.
stationary. Yeah. Hey, let me ask you guys about this one. I don't know if you guys were able to catch this fight, but this is one I'll just want to spend a few minutes on. The female Savannah Marshall. She beat that girl Maria, the Swede girl who stepped in the last minute replacement. Now Savannah Marshall is the girl that the last person to beat Clarissa Shields in the amateur. Have you guys had a chance to watch this girl fight?
I saw her fight. I saw the fight.
Bro, she fights like Tyson Fury.
Yeah.
She's elusive. She's got power.
Yeah, she does.
Which is why Clarissa Shields is continuing to discredit her and is basically asking for a goddamn truckload of money to fight the fight. And there's a reason why she will not fight that fight. Savannah Marshall ends her in devastating fashion.
I think so too.
Not only that, Clarissa Shields was running her mouth after this fight saying, she doesn't even know boxing history. In fact, she was basically saying this girl, whoever she beat, Hannah Rankin or whatever before, who had never been stopped before until Savannah Marshall stopped her. But either way, this girl, even though she was a last minute replacement, had never been stopped, and she got knocked out pretty brutally. I mean, she got dropped twice, but that second time was brutal, and it was over. And Clarissa Shields was saying, well, I'm going to knock her ass out. And I saw somebody put her stats up online. Not only does she have zero power, in her 2 stoppage wins, she's never even scored a knockdown.
I know.
Both those stoppage wins were just referees getting overzealous and jumping in and stopping it. This is a fight that unfortunately we're not going to see anytime soon because Demetrius Salita is no dummy and he knows what's going to happen. It's going to take Eddie Hearn about probably a minimum of $3 million to coax her into fighting that fight.
She still won't do it.
Yeah.
She won't do it out of sheer
for $3 to $4 million, she'll do it.
Maybe.
Because right now, she's demanding this ridiculous amount of money where she just does not put butts in the seats. Nobody bought her pay-per-view, her most recent fight. And this is the fight that out of all the fights out there, this is a fight that is probably top 3 that I want to see in boxing, believe it or not. And it's a women's fight because I want to see Savannah Marshall just end Clarissa Shields.
You know what?
I have no doubt she'll do it.
That's a great point.
What the silent assassin is?
But you don't know what? It's the never-ending story. Let's be honest. The fighters that bid themselves out of fights, possible matchups,
it's part of
they have
strategy,
no intention of fighting. A la Terrence Crawford, a la Teofimo Lopez. Clarissa Shields is no different. I'm not saying that Clarissa Shields hasn't done some things, but she's feeling herself way too much. You got to look at the level of competition, and she's got an opportunity to fight against a fellow undefeated fighter who actually beat her in the amateurs. There's a great story right there. I mean, we're not,
she would rather call out somebody that's 20 pounds her junior in Katie Taylor.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I don't understand this. And at some point, people need to wake up. Like things that go on.
Honestly, bro, people have waken up though. Nobody's listening to anything Clarissa Shields says as gospel.
Yeah,
nobody gives a shit about Clarissa Shields other than her own inner circle. She does not command ticket sales, pay-per-view sales, whatever it is she wants. She runs around calling herself the greatest woman of all time. She is so far removed from reality. And as far as I'm concerned, she's not even in the top 3 best female fighters today. Amanda
I saw
Serrano,
her last fight,
Katie Taylor, and Savannah Marshall to me are the 3 best fighters, all for different reasons. Serrano because she's an absolute boxer puncher. Katie Taylor's an absolute masterful boxer, and Savannah Marshall is just a puncher and a boxer too. But all 3 of them, they cover all 3 facets. Clarissa Shields only wins if mouth was a category. She doesn't have better skills than any of the 4. She doesn't have any power at all, and she doesn't put asses in the seats because she's just abrasive. She's abrasive and she's hateable.
She looked completely amateurish in her last victory. I mean, it was hard to watch. It looked like she was. I mean, I was watching this fight and I was like, have you spent any time in the gym? Do you actually work with anybody? Because you look like a fighter that's been out of the ring for 7 years. For a person who has, and they're coming back and they're still not sharp and they're just throwing punches. I'm just like, she
wild,
absolutely
wingy punches.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Footwork was sloppy. I was like, I didn't get it,
Yeah, but like you said, she'll continue to price herself out and try to discredit Savannah Marshall. Savannah Marshall's, won't engage in trash talk. She just says Clarissa knows what's going to happen. She's like, there's no reason why we can't make that fight before the end of 2021. If she ever gets the guts, step up, sign the fight. She said, I'll go anywhere they want me to go, and she knocks her out. And you can bank on that. Put your money on Marshall.
10 undefeated with 8 knockouts already. Yeah, I see that ending in another. She'll have 11.
Brutally. It'll be a brutal knockout. It'll be a brutal knockout.
It'll be an Ann Wolf
Clarissa
Shields type of knockout.
Okay, so Clarissa Shields, stop being a pansy and take the damn fight.
No, she won't take that.
No, because Clarissa Shields has watched that Ann Wolf Vonda Ward fight way too many times, dude, and she knows what's going to happen.
Well, that's what she thinks. She thinks that she could do that to Vonda Ward.
She couldn't do that to anybody.
She's got zero power. She's got no power.
Yeah. That's about enough I want to talk about. Let's talk about some of the fights coming up this week, bro. I mean, this upcoming fights we got. I know we got on the 17th, we got Regis Prograis and Ivan Redchak. I'm kind of excited to see this fight. Yeah. When am I ever going to get that guy's name right, dude? Jesus Christ.
Yeah, Ivan Redchak. Ivan Redchak is
using the Lord's name in vain. Gosh darn it.
I mean, obviously on paper, I think Regis Prograis should win that fight. Redcatch will make it interesting because he can be kind of gritty and even a little bit dirty. Remember when he bit Danny Garcia on the shoulder in that one fight? But Redcatch is a tough guy. Prograis should win that fight. Now, am I right in saying that's on one of these Triller cards where one of these YouTube nerds are fighting?
I'm not sure.
Is that this weekend?
Yeah, 17th.
Yeah, I think that's. I'm pretty sure.
Let me check.
Okay. I think I'm going to start working out and get on a YouTube channel and start just calling people out and get myself $1 million fight.
Yeah, it is, Micah. That
Triller card.
Jake the Pussy Paul is fighting against.
He's fighting an MMA guy, Ben Askren.
Yeah, Askren.
I'm looking at that card.
Steve Cunningham is fighting against Frank Mir.
Yeah, remember Frank Mir, the old MMA guy.
Yeah, Steve SS Cunningham.
Listen, I don't know if we had intended to talk about this, but I think maybe it's a good time to talk about this right now. I do not like where this is going. It started off with the Mike Tyson, Roy Jones thing, right? Which were actually 2 boxers. Now you're getting all these crossover fights. You are now getting so many of these guys coming out of retirement. Now, apparently Oscar De La Hoya is going to fight in July. He's been training. He's going to fight in July. You got Miguel Cotto going to do an exhibition fight against Juan Marquez. Evander Holyfield is going to be fighting somebody very soon, and then him and Mike Tyson, I guess, in theory, have an agreement to fight for the 3rd time. I'm getting a little bit sick of this spectacle and this sideshow.
Sideshow, yeah.
And this Triller that's behind it, this Ryan Kavanaugh, this guy that's involved with this Triller. I mean, putting guys like Jake Paul against an MMA guy with no experience. What happened to the days back when you used to have to go spar 3 rounds in front of the commission to actually be granted a license? They've just completely eliminated that step in the process now. Now you can just fucking get a physical, and next thing you know, you call yourself a professional boxer. It's ridiculous.
Well, you know what really disgusts me? I'm going to tell you what really sickens me in my stomach is the fact that people are going to waste their time, their energy, and their money to sit back and watch a guy like this Jake Paul fight against an MMA guy that really has no business, but neither one of them really have any business put on gloves unless they're gonna, go do some gardening in their lawn, in their yard or something. But there's so many fighters deserving right now of the audience. Guys like the Pujones and others. The money should be put towards fighters and real fights. You know what this would be like, bro? I'll give you right now. This would be like right now in the NFL. They decide to go ahead and match up NFL teams, okay? Maybe a team that's not doing all that great. Maybe the Jets, and maybe they're 50-50 against maybe a semi-pro team. Or better yet, it just doesn't make any sense.
It's just for the spectacle.
But I know what this is,
value,
though.
Yeah.
You got to look who's behind this thing with Ryan Kavanaugh, who's the push. And this goes back to the guy who hates boxing the most, and he wants to stop the boxing training. That's Dana White. Dana White is going to continue to make these sideshows as much as possible so he could take the glare and the focus.
Is he affiliated with
fights.
this guy?
He's behind the scenes. There's already been talk about it for a while. He's behind the scenes. He's opening the doors. He's helping the communication. He's a communicator between them.
Okay, so I've got an idea. Okay, so YouTube sensation, Jake Paul, blah, 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 whatever the case may be. You know what? Jake Paul, there's AJ Mendiola, Michael Mendiola, or even...
I wouldn't fight me on his best. He wouldn't fight me on his best day.
Bring it on.
Nah. That guy wouldn't even go to a real. That guy wouldn't even go to a real gym and spar, dude. I know 130 pounders that would knock him out in sparring.
Dude, I'd fight him and his brother in the same day. I'd box him and his brother in the same day.
Seriously, those guys are clowns. And shame on DAZN, you know, for giving these guys the platform.
I was kind of hoping that the guy was going to get an opportunity against Ryan Garcia, because I would love to see. I mean, I'm not huge on Ryan Garcia, but I'd love to see Ryan Garcia knock him unconscious. And then see
who was going to fight
Jake Paul.
Oh, he talked about. Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, he only outweighs the guy, but still, he thinks weight. That shows you his boxing IQ. Yeah. Oh, dude, I'll win you. I'm 200 pounds. Dude, get the hell out. Yeah,
you're
okay. That's enough of that crap.
200 pounds. You're not boxing shape. 200 pounds.
Hey, you know what? It's funny, Jake Paul. These three old guys here. Okay. Grew up with the boxing ring in their backyard. We boxed more than you will probably ever box in your entire life. So bring it on. Like I said, you got an old guy over here, an old guy right here, old. Okay, and you got a pretty awesome younger guy. Well, he's actually old.
Hey, real quick, guys, because we're getting we're getting to the thing right here. But there's a few more upcoming fights coming back. I just want to briefly touch about. And I want to get your opinion on them real quick.
Yeah.
So we got Demetrius Andre, who's going to be defending his title against Liam Williams. We talked about that.
That's this weekend, right?
Yeah.
That's also this weekend.
Yeah, we talked about that and stuff. Once again, it's a fight that I feel Demetrius Andre should win. Liam Williams is a guy who's a little tricky. He's kind of hard, but let's be honest, it's not a very fan-friendly fight. What do you think, Mike?
No, I agree. I'm just so completely disgusted. When is Demetrius Andre actually going to take on a legitimate top 10 guy? Not a guy that's sitting at number 9 in one of the fringe organizations who paid for that ranking. When's the guy going to fight somebody? It's just, you know, and I'm not saying he doesn't have the ability. He's a good fighter and he's got good charisma, but dude, you got to fight somebody. Nobody knows who Demetrius Andre is. Nobody can even point out a fight or a round or a sequence in a fight that's memorable when it comes to Demetrius Andre. They just can't.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's most known for the fight that almost took place with Billy Joe Saunders. That's what he's most known for.
pretty much. So obviously you got that one coming up, and then you got, you know, obviously, I mean, this was the week after. It's like this. You got Edgar Berlanga, who's going to be fighting against Desmond Nicholson. Nicholson's a guy who I saw his fight against Steve Rolls. He's been stopped in 2 of his fights. He's a decent guy, but he's not somebody. Once again, it's a guy who I think just at the right time. He didn't look good in his last fight when he won a split decision over a guy that was completely shot. You know, just another situation where Edgar Berlanga is going to fight, you know, basically a corpse in a sense, a guy that was a shell of what he used to be, and he's going to live off of some of the guy's earlier success to kind of launch his career. How do you feel?
Yeah, the guy really needs to step up in competition, man. Because like you said, he's going to be another Tyrone Brunson. He's going to finally get in there against a made guy or a known guy, and his light's going to be put out. Because I saw that in that last fight, even though he won in the first round, you see after about a minute and a half of missing some big shots, he was gassing already after.
He walked into a couple shots too where he didn't look. I saw the one that he caught that he walked into, and he kind of blinked. I was like, wow, don't tell me that hurt you, dude.
Yeah, but, he's another guy that's gonna reality's gonna slap him in the face really hard.
So then, obviously, that week too, you know, you got Navarrete back in the ring, and I'm questioning on the 24th, and I'm questioning the opponent with Christopher Diaz once again. Puerto Rican kid, a kid who's way undersized for the division, way undersized, and I don't know why this matchup is even being made. To be honest with you, is there so few possibilities out there for Emmanuel Navarrete? Because that's not what I'm hearing, you know. So what's going on with him?
Taking place at what, 126 now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of good 126 pounders out there, and Christopher Diaz to me is just really not.
I mean, the last tour. I mean, with the exception to the fight against Panchito, Navarrete. It seems like every fight is like it's a warm up fight. It's a tune up fight. I'm coming. Okay, well, you've had enough warm up fights, man. It's time to start fighting against some guys. And Christopher Diaz is a guy who doesn't got a great chin. He's a guy, he's tough, but he doesn't possess a lot of power, and he's undersized. Once again, it's Navarrete playing the bully.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm really starting to kind of lose a lot of respect for Navarrete. I'm really starting to see, I mean, for a guy who's as confident as he is, he doesn't seem to be pushing to go against the guys who are bigger in the division.
He was a weight bully his entire career. And now when he's jumped up 4 pounds, he's still looking for the weakest prey. He's looking for the weakest guy in the division.
Yeah.
Well, here's the guy who was a champion and defended it multiple times. He should be over there fighting. He should be over there really testing himself. I mean, what do you need? Another 2-3 fights to acclimate to a 4-pound jump? I mean, it's ridiculous. But
yeah, he's another guy that's just whatever. Laura's gonna be fighting against somebody coming up soon, but there's an interesting fight, and it's a kid that we're high on. And we got on the first, we got Sebastian Fundora coming in against a guy. I'm gonna be honest. Jorge Costa, the one who got stopped by Charlo. But I mean, let's be honest. I like what Fundora is doing. Fundora is fighting tough guys, experienced guys, something that Navarrete and a lot of these other guys aren't willing to do.
And that's on May the 1st, right?
Yes.
And now that's on the same card as Chris Arreola versus Andy Ruiz, right? Here at Dignity Health.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's an interesting fight, man. Fundora, like you said, if he passes this test and he does it with flying colors, there's a guy at 154, man, that I don't think anybody's going to be too excited to get in the ring with. I mean, I'm big on Tim Tszyu at 154, but just the sheer size of Fundora is going to give fits to anybody, man.
Well, you got to understand something. This guy, who he's fighting against, this guy, he's off of 2 straight wins over 2 decent fighters. He was stopped in the 3rd round by Jermell Charlo, but before that, he lost a split decision to Jerson Rosario, who went on to win the title in his next bout against J-Rock. So technically, Fundora's putting himself, I mean, in a spot where you're gonna have to be aware he's there, because right now nobody's acting like the Towering Inferno is part of the 154-pound division. And I agree with you. I like Tim Tszyu, but this kid, I thought it was a weird freak show thing. I thought, as soon as this kid gets caught, he didn't look good in that one fight. He went to a draw, but he made some adjustments and he worked hard. And he has taken on some tough guys since then and stopped tough guys and made it look easy.
Yeah. No, he is. He's getting stronger. How much longer he can continue to shave off
they say he makes it like nothing.
Yeah, he's got a hole in his feet or something. I don't know.
Well, anybody who saw his fight against Ahmed had to be impressed. His fight against Nathaniel Gilmore, a guy who went toe to toe with Erickson Lubin just the fight before. It was a very close fight. You got to look at how Fundora just completely dominated Gilmore and Ahmed. I mean, just walked through these guys like they were water.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, maybe he's not a freak show. Maybe there's really something there.
Hey, what are your thoughts on that same card? What are your thoughts of Chris Arreola and Andy Ruiz? I know it's a few weeks away, but what are your thoughts on that?
I tell you right now, I'm going to still stay with what I said before, but my thoughts got even more approval after I saw some film footage of Andy Ruiz. Now they're talking about his weight loss. And I noticed the Reynosos were working on Andy Ruiz, trying to teach him to move like Canelo. But I noticed something in Andy Ruiz when he was doing this, as he was even sparring. He kept looking down at his feet. So he's already developing that habit because it's not the norm. It's not
natural.
You don't teach a fighter at this point in his career, a guy who's already a former heavyweight champion, who's been a pro for over 12 years, completely change his style, especially going into a fight against a battle-hardened veteran like Cristobal Arreola. Wrong. I see a big night for Cristobal Arreola.
Yeah, I tell you, I'm excited for that fight. I know a lot of people, it's a fight that people probably talked about a couple of years ago only because of the fact that there are 2 Mexican-American heavyweights, which there's not a whole lot of them. Let's face it. There's just not a whole lot of Mexican-American heavyweights, but I'm excited for that fight, man. If it is open to the public and we can get tickets, that's a fight I definitely would want to go see. Well,
the thing is it's astonishing to me that how people think that, Cristobal, he's had some good fights coming back, but you got to look at who Arreola's faced compared to who Andy Ruiz has faced. Arreola has fought the best of the best. he didn't take the easy path. And I'm not saying Andy Ruiz did. Anthony Ruiz got fortunate to get a guy at the right time in Anthony Joshua. And you saw when Anthony Joshua came back and beat him with ease, a guy who was actually kind of chicken shy going into the fight. But the bottom line is, you put a killer in there against Andy Ruiz, it's going to be a different story. And I hate to say it, but Cristobal Arreola doesn't call himself the Nightmare for nothing. He is a killer. He's going to come in. He knows this is his shot. A devastating knockout victory over Andy Ruiz gives him another big payday.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, 100%. And AJ, Michael, if that is available, please let me know. I will fly down. And
I know you will, bro. Oh, I'd love to be there.
Hey, you know what? Here's one that we kind of completely forgot about, and it's funny. It's funny. It's not on BoxRec yet, but Munguia is fighting a week from this Friday in El Paso. It was supposed to be on Saturday the 24th in Fort Worth, but it got moved to El Paso a day before. He's fighting an undefeated fighter named Demetrius Ballard, who's undefeated. And I think he's like 21-0 with like 15 knockouts, and he's a good fighter. He's another Golden Boy fighter. And you kind of got to think with this late replacement, maybe because Jaime was maybe training to fight Sulecki, who obviously is a much different fighter than Ballard. Could this be a little bit troublesome for Jaime?
Well,
I mean, yeah, go ahead, Eric. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, Michael, if you can get us tickets, I will fly down. Just saying.
I think, I don't know much about Ballard. I'm going to look more into it. So it's hard for
You've seen him fight.
I know I see him fight. The name sounds familiar, but the thing is, I think with Munguia right now and stuff, I don't think a change of opponent is going to be a big difference, because the thing is, Munguia understands. He's one thing about Munguia. Say whatever you want to say about maybe his lack of defensive skills. When Jaime's on his game, he shows those flashes and those glimpses of greatness at moments.
Brilliant.
Sometimes Jaime gets a little too, punch happy. But the bottom line is, when Jaime decided to turn the table on Terriono Johnson in the last fight, a guy who a lot of people avoid, you saw what happened to him. I don't see Ballard, no matter what he's going to bring. Everybody knows Jaime's got a great grill. You got to get past those punches, you know what I'm saying, no matter what it is. Mm-hmm. And you got to get past just the sheer aggression and the huge chip the size of Mexico that sits on the shoulder of Jaime Munguia. Jaime hears this from everybody, but yet I don't see anybody willing to want to get in there with him. I don't see Charlos climbing from. We know what's going on with Triple G. He wants no part of Munguia. Munguia's name's never been mentioned by even guys like Canelo. None of these guys. Demetrius Andre is always looking for an opponent. Jaime Munguia is standing right there, former champion. He won't even mention his name. So what does that tell you? The guy who they don't talk about is the one they know who's special.
Yeah. Yep. So it looks like this kid is 20-0 with 13 knockouts. He does have one majority draw against Yamaguchi Falcao, which was his last fight. But he's a good sized kid. He's 6 foot tall, like Jaime as well. He's young. He's only 28 years old. I mean, like I said, I expect Jaime to get the job done, but I'm just hoping that Jaime is really actually working with Eric Morales and actually really working on getting back to using the jab and not just head hunting and looking for the big, big knockout shot. He's gotta go back to what he was doing against guys like Brandon Cook, against Liam Smith, against Saddam Ali, like jabbing his way in, the power is there and the chin is there, but he's got.
I'm sorry. He's got to remember what Robert taught him. Basically, I mean, he has to go back to the basics. I don't know.
He's got a jab. It's like we said with Stanionis, man. The jab is sometimes it can be the most important punch for a fighter. Is just that jab, and Jaime's got a good jab when he uses it.
He's got a great jab. He's got a great jab.
I saw a fight not that long ago. I don't remember the name of the fight, but the guy literally, that's all he did is he jabbed and he won convincingly.
Just jabbed to death. Yeah.
Just jabbed the guy to death. I mean, and just busted the guy's face up with a jab.
Yeah.
I mean, that is such an underrated punch in so many circumstances. Everybody's looking for the right hook, the left hook, the straight right, whatever the case may be. But you know what? That jab is it sets everything else up.
Yeah.
I'd say something right now. I was watching Jaime's fight against Patrick Alote just for the hell of it the other day.
Yeah.
And I got to say something right now. At the moment that guys like Sergio Mora and them were praising Alote for his elusiveness and for his punches he was landing, was when Jaime woke up. And when he started landing those body punches, I mean, literally, I could feel them through my phone as I was watching it with my earbuds. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I mean, when he gets on and he's done. Another one I went back and watched was Jaime's fight against Inoue. This guy was bull rushing.
The Japanese kid, yeah.
The Japanese kid. But when Jaime sat down on his thing, oh my God, dude. I mean, that kid must have pissed blood for a week, dude. Ridiculous.
Yeah, that was a great fight. I was at that fight. I was in the second row, man.
The difference with Jaime Munguia and a lot of guys at the 160-pound division, even above Jamal Charlo, is Jaime possesses that true ability, that power, something that they always gave Gennady credit for, but Gennady never really possessed it, to change the whole demeanor of the fight in one punch, whether it's to the body or the head. He's done it time and time again. Yep. You know, you go back and you look at the people. I mean, even his fight against guys like Liam Smith and other ones, Jaime, you know, when he hits these guys, it's kind of like that Drago effect. You know, what he hits, he destroys.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I wish
that fight's next Friday. That's another one that's coming up. Like I said, he kind of it's flying under the radar a little bit. I think Golden Boy better, you know, get on the ball, man, and promote this fight a little bit better than they've been promoting. I know there was a last minute change, but all I'm hearing now from DAZN and Golden Boy is, you know, Ryan Garcia against another overmatched, undersized Javier Fortuna. That's coming up in a couple of weeks, and I'm just like, that all of a sudden it seemed to take precedent even over the Canelo fight. Even over the Canelo BJ Saunders fight that sold 40,000 tickets in like 2 days. 40,000 seats were snatched up in 2 days in Arlington at the stadium.
That's insane.
At capacity, they're not going to have 100,000, but whatever they allow in there, it's going to be.
Hey, Mike, how do you spell Demetrius Ballard? How do you spell his last name?
It's Ballard is Ballard.
I did that already. I don't know why.
But his first name is it's spelled different. It's D''MITI. It's not DEM. It's DMIT.
So is he 32? Oh, okay. I see it.
Demetrius
Okay.
Ballard. Yeah.
Yeah, I got him.
So, okay. So they're fighting in San Antonio, you said, right?
No. El Paso.
Oh, El Paso. I'm sorry. El Paso. I thought you said San Antonio. My bad.
No, it was supposed to be in Fort Worth, and now it's at the Haskins Center, I think, in El Paso.
I saw this fight. Falco. I watched this fight.
Yeah.
I saw this fight.
Okay, I saw it too. I don't remember which.
It was at the hangar right here in Costa Mesa.
Hey.
This is this fight was at the hangar right here in Costa Mesa.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I saw this fight. Yeah. I'll be sending a bottle to the Jaime's thing. It's gonna be a short night.
All right. So yeah. You want to try and get some tickets?
I'd love to, man. I got to get out, man. Oh, so we'll talk on offline because I want to talk to you guys afterwards because I know.
Yeah, let's talk after, please.
Yeah.
Let's do a quick one after, okay?
But hey, real quick, Mike. Before we go, obviously, you know, everybody's talking still about the fact, you know, that they haven't set the location with the Tyson Fury Anthony Joshua fight.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that.
Yeah. I saw some training footage with Anthony Joshua. You know, he's always a physical specimen. There was a couple things I saw that Anthony Joshua was doing that I kind of like. And I'm not saying that Anthony Joshua is going to win this fight, but I do like the fact that he's working with some really big guys that really remind me of Tyson Fury, but it was what he was doing with his body and how he was moving, and he was doing the short game hooks. He wasn't looking for everything at range short, which tells me he's looking to kind of draw Tyson in and do what
and
he did.
Tyson lean on him and try to catch him when he.
You got it, which is smart, man. I looked at that. I go, you know what? That's brilliant. That is brilliant right there. Because when you lean in, the most exposed point you got is the drawback. And
you know, Tyson, it's weird how boxing is. You know, it's a cliche when they say styles make fights, but it's very true. AJ, we talked about this. Yeah. I can see a scenario where AJ beats Tyson. But then I can also see a scenario where Deontay Wilder knocks AJ cold in 2 rounds just because of the style and just the way that the styles match up. You know,
it's like what happened to Oscar Valdez. I mean, how many people really honestly thought that he was going to beat Burchell, the monster like that?
Not many, man. Not many.
And the thing is, I mean, the only thing I thought why I was leaning towards Valdez was just the sheer fact that Valdez had been in wars that Burchell had never experienced. And for some reason, that lone loss that Burchell had bugged me. It was in which the manner in which he lost and how he really didn't want to seem like he really wanted to go any farther. So where Oscar, I've seen Oscar down and this guy has gotten back up and he's a bloody mess and this kid doesn't give up. And
broken jaw down.
And people were really dispelling his power. I was like, dude, Oscar Valdez has power. Why do you guys think he doesn't have power? You know, and it showed. And that was still a great fight, you know?
Yep.
But
alrighty.
Good
All
show
right.
back, guys. Good show back,
Guys,
Go
brothers.
back, yeah.
Guys, there are still seats available for that fight.
For which
We-
one? The Mungia?
Yeah, we need to go.
I can't.
we'll talk-
I can't go next Friday.
We'll talk about it, Eric, right now online. Let's do a 3-way call and we get off here.
I'm gonna wait till Jaime
Okay,
fights back here in California, and then I'm gonna get ringside seats.
Yeah,
so.
let's wait till Jaime fights back here, and then we'll go have dinner at Robert's house. His wife
Yeah.
makes some tamales, dude. You know?
Okay.
All right, so
Okay.
I guess that's it for a show back. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe and help us out, man. We've been gone a couple weeks, but you know, we're trying to stay regular now that boxing's ramping up, spring heading into summer. We got a lot of fights to cover, a lot of things to talk about. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. With that being said, I'm your host, Mighty Mike.
AJ Rage.
And Eric the Red.
We'll see you guys this coming weekend, Sunday after the fights, 8 o'clock on the East Coast, 5 o'clock on the West Coast. See you
Talk to
then.
soon, brothers.
Bye.
Good night, everybody. Bye-bye.